Okay.
Our guest today on Caribbeana is Mr. Arlen Harris from the United Kingdom, a film director. Hello, Arlen. Welcome to our program, Caribbeana.
Hi, really good to be here and wonderful to meet you.
Yes, my friend. Well, man, you are about to release a documentary of a friend of mine, man. Would you believe I knew Walter Rodney? And when I saw this, it is so interesting. It says the documentary is entitled "They Don't Want You to Know." They don't want you to know. Well, don't want you to know something. But before that, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm a filmmaker. I've been working in broadcasting for probably too long to remember, but a few decades. And I've always been interested in subjects that challenge the narrative, and particularly history.
Right.
And that's what attracted me to making a biographical film about Walter Rodney. And I worked really, really closely
Yeah.
with the family, with Dr. Patricia Rodney,
Right.
and with the children. Although I shouldn't say children now because they're kind of
Grown-ups. Right.
fully functional and beautiful adults. Um, and with the Walter Rodney Center.
Yeah.
And it was that collaboration, that close collaboration with
Yeah.
Asha and Kanini and their brother that really helped uh, bring out all the aspects, or not all of the aspects, but some important aspects that are often
Yes.
neglected in filmmaking.
Right. 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 Yes. I when Walter was killed, I was in Guyana doing some research on Guyana, and I went to interview Forbes Burnham, and I asked Mr. Burnham. I said, what is being said, Mr. Burnham, is that you are responsible for Rodney's death." And you know what he answered me? He said, Walter was not a serious politician. Politics is a thing of life and death. And that was it. That was his answer. And so he went on to do the other talks. And I mean, I couldn't, let me tell you, you could imagine what that made me feel, man, because Walter was such a good man, has done so much. We used to interview him here on Caribbeana. And, I mean, oh, Lord, boy. That one hit me like a ton of bricks. How was it for you doing this research? Did you have a chance to meet Walter?
Unfortunately not. I sort of first read Walter's work at university. Um, and I just remember reading how Europe underdeveloped Africa
Yes,
and what a revelation that is and how
right.
relevant it is today.
Today, yes,
That's what really propelled me because basically water has been at the forefront of and provided, as it were, the intellectual ammunition
yes,
for the reparations movement. Um, Also, I mean, the way that he talked about the struggle
yeah,
um, for the movement looking at policing and for resistance to unfair
uh-huh,
policing. So a tremendously an iconic figure, and
yes,
that's what really attracted me to the
yeah,
subject.
yes, yes, yeah, yes. The work is fantastic. Um, but in the substance of it, what would you characterize some of the things that the essence of what you're talking about? What you didn't want me to know.
So what we found in the research was that water had been monitored by the security services
Mhm.
since he was a student at the University of West Indies in
Yes.
Jamaica. Um, and that he'd come to the attention of the authorities because of the trips that he made to Cuba and also to Russia.
Yeah.
Um, and we were able to find through cooperation and talking to academics as well as research in the archive, the actual documents that reported on his activities. And one of the interesting things that I found is that effectively, if you want to have a good record of the life of radicals like Walter Rodney,
Uh-huh.
the security services files are a brilliant place to go because
Yes.
they have documented what he did
Right.
and also what they did to oppose him. So I found, for example, that the British security services, um, as well as other security services, um, had actually attempted to um, discredit the works. So they actually paid for reviews of his book in the
Oh,
press to
yeah,
discredit
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Man, I mean, but that tells you, and look at today, we're in a similar, the same kind of situation as then. What, gosh, and Walter paid with his life to illustrate all of this to us, you know.
He, he did, and he really, I mean, if you think of Groundings with My Brothers, another one of his,
Yes, yes, yes.
about the importance of working with a broad class of people and not rejecting kind of the wisdom that comes from groups that at that time were
Yeah.
in Jamaica in particular were not well regarded with
Right, right.
Rastafarians.
Yes.
Um, and unifying them with, as it were, university activists. And
Mhm.
then in Guyana, the fact that he was at the forefront of building a cross-ethnic coalition.
Yes,
I
yes.
think the it's the recognition of the history and the impact that had on people of color,
Yeah,
um, and the need for formation of broad alliances to affect changes that I think makes him such an important figure.
right, right. You definitely, I quite agree, it's to see that he had been persecuted since from, like you said, the college days at the University of the West Indies, um, and we were just trouncing around in the region, not really conscious of what he was experiencing and what some of others were experiencing, because around those times or subsequently after that, another radical came up was Tim Hector in Antigua, and Maurice Bishop. That era, it was a monumental era in the history of the Caribbean, but today, when you look at where we are today, what would you think Walter would say?
That's a difficult one. You put me on the spot. I mean, the first thing that I think he would say is that you need you need to use history as a tool for liberation. If you understand what has happened in the past, it gives you a map to work out how to oppose the present. Um, and it seems to me that, particularly in Guyana, but not only in Guyana, he was able to unite a group of of people that had at times were in conflict together in a coalition. So in Guyana, it was the black and brown working class,
Right,
the
right, right,
unification of them that was utterly important. And in many ways, I would say it was that Burnham saw as a threat.
right, 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 right. And I mean, it's so ironic that in these times today, it's Emancipation Day, the 1st of August, Emancipation Day, and we're still fighting for emancipation, huh?
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's kind of almost the circularity of history because I think at the moment we're at a moment where the resistance to some of the gains that were made
Right.
is is most stark, and it's at that point where people are getting really demoralized that I think looking at his message of what to do,
Yeah.
of what to resist, and of how to resist that is so important.
Yes, 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 yes. Well, this is a 72-minute documentary and it's entitled,
Walter Rodney, What They Don't Want You to Know, and it's showing at George Washington University Student Center, Sunday, August the 3rd, at 800 21st Street, Washington, as part of the 80th Film Festival.
Thank you so much, my good friend. Well, you take care and, I continue making these good movies. I'll certainly go and look at them, check them out.
That's really nice of you. A pleasure to have been able to talk to you.
Yes, Arlen. You take care. Have a good day. All right.
You too. Bye for
Okay.
now, Ron.
Right. I've been speaking with Arlen Harris, a film director who did a movie on Walter Rodney and his work, asking the question of they don't want you to know what. This is Von Martin. Caribbeana continues.